Well, folks, the Supreme Court just did something we have never seen before. They just turned on one of their own, leaving Ketanji Brown Jackson hanging out to dry, humiliated and isolated. And at the very same time, in Georgia, ICE just stormed a Hyundai electric vehicle plant in arguably one of the largest raids in Homeland Security history, seizing hundreds of illegal workers and bringing construction to a grinding halt. Gang, this isn't just politics as usual. This is breaking news. Just in the last 24 hours, this is two rebellions colliding at once. Rogue judges trying to defy Trump from the bench, and corporations caught red-handed fueling America's border crisis. And tonight, both of them are being crushed. So, guys, we're about to break down why Ketanji Brown Jackson's own liberal allies are abandoning her, how President Trump's crackdown has corporate America in full panic, and why this week may go down in history as the moment the rebellion against Trump's America has finally been broken. Hit the like button, subscribe. You do not want to miss 1 second of this. Now, right now, under President Trump, America is staring down a double crisis situation. Now, on the one hand, you've got the Supreme Court, I never thought I would actually say this, just turn its back on Ketanji Brown Jackson in a way that we've never seen before. In fact, on the other hand, you have ICE. They just stormed this Hyundai electric vehicle plant in Georgia in the largest raid in Homeland Security history, seizing hundreds of illegal workers and grinding $1 billion project down to a halt. This is historic. This is where we are tonight. Rebellion inside the judiciary, chaos inside of corporate America, and the Trump administration moving to crush both at the same time. I mean, let's go ahead and start with the Supreme Court. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, once hailed as the rising star on the left, she is now being left completely isolated, even by her own liberal allies. Guys, case after case after case this year, she's been forced to write these solo dissents, okay? Not even like Sotomayor, not even like Kagan is willing to sign on to her most extreme arguments. And that is what is so shocking here, guys. She's basically out on an island, basically throwing tantrums in writing while the rest of the court, liberal and conservatives alike, they're walking away from her. They're like, I don't know who that is. You know what I'm saying? They're just completely trying to like separate themselves from her. Now, just look at Ketanji Brown's latest meltdown, okay? She accused the conservative majority of playing Calvin Ball. This is a children's comic strip game where the rules change every time you play because they ruled in favor of cutting nearly $783 million in DEI-related NIH grants. She claimed the court was just making up the rules to help Trump. But here's the reality. No one joined her. Not one other justice. Her dissent stood alone, rejected even by her own fellow liberals. And then came the hammer. Justice Amy Coney Barrett, in what many are calling the most direct rebuke of this term, shredded Jackson's reasoning as basically at odds with 200 years of judicial precedent, and then even contrary to the Constitution itself. So basically, Ketanji Brown Jackson thinks she can just throw the Constitution out the window. Think about that. The Supreme Court doesn't usually attack its own colleagues in those terms, but they did. They just dismissed Jackson's words and nothing more than political talking points. Wow, that's all they were. So for a sitting justice to be so publicly humiliated, so completely abandoned, it is unprecedented in modern day history. And today, I think it's very clear. The court has just turned on Jackson. Now, most people never bother reading the fine print of their Medicare plan. Can I see a show of hands? Did anybody really read the fine print on their Medicare plan? Now, this is exactly how insurance companies like it, because hidden inside those fine details in like font size like 4, those are the details that may cost you money. Copays, deductibles, limited drug coverage. I mean, it's crazy what they stuff in there because they know no one's going to read that. This is why I partnered with Chapter. Their advisors dig into the details and they translate them into plain English. There's no tricks, there's no confusion, just the truth. And one of our viewers left me an amazing comment. They said, I finally understood my plan for the first time after speaking the chapter. I realized I had been paying for coverage I didn't even use. And let me ask you guys, would you rather stay trapped in the fine print, or would you rather do what most people are already doing and let Chapter explain it? Now, most people they're already calling the phone number on the bottom of your screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. The phone number is 909-563-8279. Now, guys, Jackson's humiliation is not the end of the story. In fact, it's not even close, okay? Because while she's out there on an island, scribbling fiery dissents that nobody wants to sign, rogue judges across the country, they're staging an unprecedented rebellion against her. Let's go ahead and lay out the facts. Since President Trump returned to the office in January, these activist judges, almost all of them Democrat appointees, have issued 79 nationwide injunctions in order to block his agenda. Now, 79, that's pretty substantial. Now, to put this into perspective, that is more than half of all the injunctions in U.S. history, and they've done it in less than 2 years. That's not law. That is sabotage. Now, here's the kicker. It's not just the numbers. These judges, they're starting to whine publicly. 12 of them spoke anonymously to NBC News, admitting that they're furious that the Supreme Court isn't backing them up. One even blurted out, "They don't support our agenda." Stop and think about that. Now, since when is the Supreme Court's job to push an agenda, right? Their job should be, it's supposed to be, to uphold the law, not rubber stamp partisan power grabs. So this is why Justices Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh had to deliver a stern warning. They told the lower courts flat out that you may disagree with the Supreme Court's decision, but you cannot defy them. Now, this is exactly what many of these lower court judges are trying to do. They're trying to defy, obstruct, and resist the will of the American people who happen to have elected President Donald J. Trump to lead. Now, this isn't just a disagreement. This is a constitutional crisis in motion. So on the one side, the Supreme Court is turning its back on Jackson, signaling, basically that they're not going to tolerate radical partisan theatrics on the bench. But on the other side, lower court judges practically admitting that they're at war with Trump and his supporters. But in the middle, the American people watching their institutions rip themselves apart. But of course, while the judiciary is melting down in D.C., something even more explosive is happening on the ground in the state of Georgia. Now, drop a comment down below. Let me know where you're watching from today, guys. ICE just launched the largest single site raid in Homeland Security investigations history. This is not in a back alley somewhere. This is not in some hidden sweatshop, but in a massive Hyundai electric vehicle plant construction site near Savannah, Georgia. Everybody knows what Hyundai is. It's not like it's some no-name company, right? Anybody drive a Hyundai out there? Do you know someone who drives a Hyundai? Yeah. This was Hyundai, the vehicle company that we all see on the roads, guys, like the Santa Fe and the Hyundai Tucson and the Hyundai Sonata and all these other Hyundai. Anyway, so 475 illegal immigrants detained in one sweep. Nearly 500 people who had no legal right to even work there. They're gone overnight. Now, I want to be very clear. This wasn't just Hyundai's direct employees. These workers were spread across subcontractors, temp firms, and labor groups that were feeding into the project. In other words, the entire system was complicit. A global corporation, a web of contractors, the government's so-called green transition project, all exposed in one day as being built on illegal labor. Now, we must be clear about this. These are all allegations. These are all 100% allegations. We have to wait until the full story rolls out. But then what happened next? Well, the billion-dollar EV project, hailed as the crown jewel of Georgia's clean energy future, it came to a screeching halt. Bulldozers silenced, machinery abandoned mid-shift, executives scrambling for cover. Corporate America's green dream just turned into a federal crime scene. Now, here's why this matters. While these rogue judges in Washington trying to block Trump at every turn, ICE, under Trump's leadership, is making it very clear that the law will be enforced whether corporations, subcontractors, or even foreign governments like it or not. It's not just policy. It is power. It's exercised in real time, and it is reshaping America's future. And so, folks, if you thought that the headlines told you the whole story, trust me, they barely scratched the surface. The scenes, they're coming out of Georgia and they looked something like something out of a movie. Eyewitnesses described the moment that it all went down. Multiple military vehicles, they rolled up all at once. Black SUVs, armored transports, lights were flashing, engines were roaring. You could feel the vibration of the vehicles rolling up in your feet. Streets surrounding the plant were suddenly filled with law enforcement cars from every direction, local sheriffs, federal agents, even National Guard trucks assisting with traffic control. It wasn't just a raid, it was a siege. Inside the construction site, chaos erupted in seconds. Workers dropped tools where they stood. Some sprinted for the fences, desperate trying to escape. Others tried hiding in unfinished buildings or slipping into cars. Agents combed through rows and rows of vehicles, yanking doors open, searching trunks, pulling people out one by one. People were hoping that they wouldn't get caught. I mean, they were so desperate that they were hopping fences and scattering through the woods, some even ditching personal belongings in the rush to just try to get away. And then came the buses. The buses lined up one after another, filling quickly with detainees. Nearly 500 workers hauled away in less than a day. Now imagine that, guys. Hundreds of people gone, an entire workforce erased in hours. The sight of those buses that were rolling out of the Hyundai site, it's already being described as one of the most defining images of Trump's second-term immigration crackdown. And the fallout, well, it's spreading like wildfire. Hyundai was very quick to put out a statement trying to downplay the disaster. They claimed that none of the detained workers were directly on their payroll and that these were all subcontractors. Now, let's be real. I don't know about you, but that sounds like corporate spin to me. The public knows better. If your billion-dollar project can't function without hundreds of illegal workers, then are you a part of the problem? Well, Governor Brian Kemp once, proudly touted the Hyundai plant as a triumph for Georgia's economy. He's now backpedaling fast. He's publicly pledged his loyalty to President Trump's crackdown, promising National Guard loyalists and logistical support for ICE moving forward. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not a small gesture. That is a state governor admitting that corporate promises mean nothing compared to law and order under Trump's leadership. Now, here's where it gets internal, okay? In fact, it's not even just Georgia. This thing goes international. Reports are now confirming that a significant number of those detained were not from Mexico or even Central America at all. They were South Korean nationals. That's right, guys. Foreign workers shipped in for a clean energy project working illegally on U.S. oil. And now, South Korea's foreign ministry is issuing statements of concern, demanding answers from Washington, D.C. What started as a Georgia raid is now diplomatic headache on the global stage. Now, I want to kind of bring this all together for everyone who's watching the show tonight, okay? You got a corporate executive. In fact, you've got multiple corporate executives that are running damage control right now, okay? You've got a governor of Georgia forced to lean on the National Guard. You've got an ally like South Korea suddenly drawn into a scandal, and behind it all, Trump's ICE sending a very clear message that the days of looking the other way are over. Corporate America does not get to profit from illegal labor, not anymore. So here's where the thread connects, guys. These are not isolated incidents. It's all together. Like what's happening with Ketanji Brown Jackson at the Supreme Court and what just went down at Hyundai in Georgia. These are symptoms of the same rebellion. Okay, two sides of the same coin. Think about it. On the one side, you've got a sitting Supreme Court justice. This is somebody who's supposed to be the pinnacle of the legal wisdom in our country, reduced to writing these angry, lonely dissents that even her fellow liberals refuse to sign. Katanji Jackson went from being the left's golden child to being their greatest liability. I mean, she is swinging wildly. She's throwing accusations of Calvin Ball and claiming conservatives are just making up these rules to help Trump. And yet, not even Sotomayor or Kagan want to touch her arguments. I don't know about you, but that's not isolation. That is humiliation at the highest court in the land. I mean, now on the other side, you got Hyundai. This is a global powerhouse, part of the green energy push, $1 billion EV project celebrated as the future of progress in America. And in one single day, President Trump's ICE exposed it as rotten to the core. Nearly 500 illegal workers got yanked out of the building. Construction was frozen. Corporate excuses are falling apart. And now international diplomacy with South Korea dragged into the mess. This is not just an operation. This is a seismic event. So here's the truth that nobody in the corporate media wants to say out loud. Both Jackson and Hyundai, they represent elites who thought they were untouchable. Judges who thought that they could weaponize the bench to block Trump. Corporations who thought that they could quietly cut corners and flood their work sites with illegal labor and at the same time still cash in on taxpayer subsidies. They both gambled that nobody was going to ever stop them. And this week, they both lost. Now, this is Trump's America. The court is no longer just a rubber stamp for activist judges. The border is no longer a suggestion. And corporate America is no longer safe if it builds an empire on the backs of illegal labor. Now, what we're watching right now, this is history. This is a correction. This is a reckoning. This is a reset. The rebellion of the elites is colliding with the power of the people who put Trump back in office. But here's a question that you need to ask yourself. Is this just the beginning? Is Jackson's public humiliation the opening act of a larger purge of judicial activism? Or is Hyundai's raid just the first in a big, huge wave of corporate crackdowns that will ripple across the country? Or heck, maybe this is a turning point. This is the week that future historians are going to look back and say, hey, this was when the rebellion against Trump finally broke. Well, make no mistake, guys, the stakes are enormous. Now, on the one side, you got law and order enforced at the highest levels, reshaping the courts and the economy. But on the other side, all sorts of chaos, corruption, elites desperate to cling to power. There's no middle ground anymore. America is being forced to choose a side. Now, tonight, you need to choose a side. Do you stand with President Donald J. Trump? If you do, drop a 47 down below. Drop a 45 and a 47 if you do. I mean, you already saw exactly what happens when rebellion meets reality. A Supreme Court justice left in the dust, a global corporation brought to his knees, and the people, through Trump, reclaiming control. So what do you guys think? Is Ketanji Brown on her way out of the Supreme Court, politically finished by her own isolation? And will raids like this Hyundai operation become the new normal under Trump's second term? Let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below, guys, because I want to hear what you think about this entire historic week that we just lived through. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, smash that like button, smash the bell icon. YouTube thinks you're going to absolutely love the next video that's popping up on your screen right now. And trust me, you do not want to miss it.